Welcome back. So now I'm going to take you through another process. I want you to think of this as yet another tool that you can use to help shift all of these old disempowering money beliefs and patterns that you've uncovered through the exercise, the brain dump exercise. And I want you to continue asking yourself questions about, what do I believe about money? What do I believe about my ability to be successful, my ability to be wealthy? Listen, this is a process of self-awareness. And even if you've done other programs or other mindfulness exercises, it's important to consistently revisit these things. We oftentimes will refer to the subconscious mind. Some people will even say that these things are unconscious, when in reality, there's evidence all around us of what our beliefs and expectations are. They are ultimately our self-fulfilling prophecy. So if you look at your history around money, look at patterns that have repeated throughout your life, throughout your career in business. When you are experiencing the same types of things over and over and over again, and if you look at your results, even right now, today, how much money is in the bank? How do you feel about your money situation? Is there fear? Is there anxiety? Is there a feast or famine cycle in your business? We look at these things objectively. They provide feedback so we can see what is going on within our subconscious, what is going on within our beliefs. The reason that we refer to it as subconscious is because we're not consciously thinking of these things. They're part of our programming. And so it feels like that's just the way it is for us. But challenge that. Does it have to be that way? It doesn't. If there is someone existing, whether now or in the past, if there is someone existing on this planet who has achieved the amount of wealth or success that you would love to have, then we know it is possible. Now, ask yourself, why wouldn't it be possible for me? And then become aware of all of those beliefs, all of the stories that you're telling yourself. Use your notebook. Make sure you're putting this stuff down so that you can work through it. Now, remember what I said before. Some things we can shift very, very quickly. Sometimes awareness of these things is enough to create a shift. You can almost instantaneously, as soon as you become aware of an old limiting belief, see just how irrational it is. And in that moment, you can create that energetic shift. You will release your hold on it. But things left unnoticed, things that you are not being more mindful of, things that you're not challenging, those are the things that persist. We don't want to keep doing that. That is essentially what has caused you to be where you are today. Now, this exercise that I'm going to take you through is another process for releasing our hold on those old beliefs, the things that we've heard. So when we're talking about beliefs, when we're talking about thoughts, when we're talking about feelings, you've got to remember that everything in this universe is energy. So from the air that we're breathing, to the chair that I'm sitting on, to the thoughts that you think, your emotions that you feel, everything is energy. And we know from physics that energy is in a constant state of motion. Now, I want you to remember this. This is so incredibly important. So when you feel any type of emotion, whether it is positive or negative, you feel that almost materialize, manifest, or come up from somewhere. So something gets triggered. Now let's use an example of this. Let's say that you have an old pattern of feeling fear when you have a large bill to pay. Now, when you are just going through your normal day-to-day stuff and you're not thinking about that, you feel fine, right? You're not triggered. But the moment that something, whether that bill comes in the mail or you get the email notification, this invoice is due, that triggers the feeling. The feeling comes up and you can literally feel it in your body. So let's just refer to this for the sake of example as fear. So you feel the fear come up and it's triggered now. The energy is at the surface is how I like to explain it. Now we have to do something different than we've ever done before. So those old patterns, we have a tendency when we feel the negative emotion come up, we immediately try to repress it. We try to push it away. It doesn't feel good. We don't want to feel it. We don't want to deal with it. We don't want to look at it. The thing is when we do that, we are taking that energy that just came up and we're pushing it back down. So rather than releasing and letting it go, which is what happens naturally when something isn't an old emotional wound or a disempowering old belief. So let me give you a quick example of this. So you're going through your day and maybe you're shopping. You're going to buy yourself a new suit and you don't have any negative beliefs about your ability to purchase a new piece of clothing. So you're in the store and you look at a suit and you say to yourself, that's nice. I like that. You go to look at the price tag and let's just say that the price is within your current comfort zone. Okay. So when you look at that, now notice you're not triggered, right? So the feeling that comes up naturally, whatever that initial reaction is, it just flows through. Maybe you see the suit, you say to yourself, that looks nice. I like that. You feel a good feeling. It naturally comes up and it naturally flows through. Okay. You look at the price tag. You don't have any old triggers on that. So when you look at that price, the feeling is going to come up. It might be, oh, I can afford that. And that is a feeling. That is a thought that triggers a feeling. That feeling comes up. And because there's no old stuff there that creates that resistance, it's just going to flow through. Okay. So then our natural state is allowing the feelings to flow through. But when we have an unresolved issue, a negative trigger, what happens is that feeling comes up and then we don't like it. So we immediately try to push it away, or we try to use positive self-talk to talk ourselves out of it. And what ends up happening is that fear, we never release it. So we just push it down. We push it away. We slide it back under the rug, hoping it's just, we're just going to be able to avoid it. But you'll notice that doesn't work because now that thing just keeps getting triggered throughout your life over and over and over and over and over again. So we want to properly release this. So when you feel the negative emotion, when you're looking at that bill and you feel the fear come up, I want you to say yes to it. This is so important. Okay. You have to be very, very mindful when you feel those negative feelings, identify it's just a feeling. It's just energy. The old pattern is to repress it, to push it away. I'm going to do something different this time. I'm going to allow myself to welcome that energy up and let it pass through. So with your intention now, you're completing that natural process of releasing the energy. So instead of pushing it back down, compounding it so that it can be triggered again later, you are literally going to say yes to the feelings. Okay. Notice we're not saying, yes, universe, please send me more very, very expensive bills. We're not saying that. We're saying, yes, I feel this fear. Let the fear come up. Let it pass through. It's just energy. It's not serving me to hold on to this. So I am going to allow it to flow through. Okay. So I'm going to take you through an exercise right now. And I want you to notice, what is something that triggers you about money? Anything that comes up. And now notice the emotion that is tied to those thoughts. Is it fear? Is it resistance? Is it anger? Is it shame? Just notice it. And can you say yes to it? Remember, we're just saying yes to the feeling. We're allowing the feeling to come up and we're allowing the feeling to pass through. So can you say yes to the feeling? Can you say yes to the fear? Say yes to it. It's just energy. Let it come up. Let it pass through. And can you say yes to it some more? Notice that with our old issues, the ones that have been a reoccurring theme throughout our life, there's a lot of negative emotional charge on that. So keep saying yes to it. Now, you might reach a point where you're feeling resistance. Resistance is indicating that we're trying to hold on to the fear. So on some level, the mind thinks that the fear is going to protect us. You have to also be willing to say yes to the resistance, because if you don't release the resistance, you're not going to allow yourself to release the fear. So can you say yes to the resistance? Now, sometimes the fear is very gripping. We really want to hold on to the fear. So we have other beliefs that if we let go of that fear, that we're going to create something even worse than the negative money problem that we're manifesting by holding on to the fear. So an example of that might be if you have beliefs that if I become very, very wealthy, I am going to turn into a self-absorbed narcissist and I'm going to treat my family poorly and become a bad person. Well, can you see how, as the good person that you are, you don't want to do that? So if you believe that on some level of the mind, then when you say to yourself, let's release this fear of becoming wealthy, your mind is going to say, no, friend, I don't think so. Because if you do that, you're going to become the type of person you don't want to be. That violates your values. It violates your values as being a good mother or father. It violates your values as being a good, honest person. So we have to look at all of those different dynamics that are taking place in the subconscious mind. We've got to release all of that stuff, because in reality, do you have to become that way? No, of course not. There are plenty of very, very affluent people in this world who are really, truly good people, honest, good people. You can be one of them, but you have to release that hold on that fear. So can you say yes to the resistance? Can you let it come up, let it pass through? Now, here's a little trick. If you feel like the energy is not moving, if you're really holding on, ask yourself, can I let go of just a little bit? Notice we're not asking for the whole thing, just a little bit, because the mind can't accept releasing just a little bit. A little bit is safe. A little bit is okay. So you'll feel yourself say yes to releasing a little bit. Now ask yourself, can I release a little bit more? And the mind will agree. The mind will say, yeah, I can release a little bit more. A little bit is okay with me. And if you keep doing that a little bit at a time, you're going to feel your hold on that, your grip on that begin to lessen. This is so valuable because once you get to a certain point, now the mind has let go of holding so tightly to that fear or that limiting belief. And then you can proceed with the process. Can I let go of this feeling? Yes. And for a lot of people, you'll actually feel Remember that fear that I talked about? You can feel the fear in your body. That fear is energy. It has mass. It has vibrational mass. So you literally can feel the fear. Sometimes you'll feel it in your chest. Sometimes you'll feel it in your stomach, but you will feel it. And as you're doing this process, you're going to feel that lessen. So you're actually going to experience a physiological shift and an emotional release. And that's essentially what we're going for. And can you see now how you can do this throughout your day? Once you practice this, it's going to become more easy for you to identify when those negative feelings are coming up, and choose now to let the feelings come up, giving yourself permission to release and let it go.